again. So in today's session, we will be having our um, last lesson for this quarter. Are we all ready to learn something new for this meeting? Are we? Or are we not ready? Kindly click the raise hand button if we are now ready to learn our last lesson for this quarter. Let me see how many are ready. So out of um, 19 people in this meeting, only, let me count how many are ready. Only 15, 17 are ready. So the other two are not ready, or the one person in this class is not ready. Okay, so let's start now. I hope you can now see my presentation. So to not waste more time, let's begin our discussion. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. So we will be having our chapter 3 discussion of our research. And we have here the following objectives. So these are my expectations at the end of the quarter. I hope everyone will be able to identify feasible or possible, achievable, or effective research methods that we can use in our research study. Second, I hope we can distinguish the various types of research. And then lastly, determine appropriate research tools to be included in the study. Can we now start? Let me hear your answers. Can we now start? I
Yes.
hope you are all alive and have all the energy to listen. So I hope you will really listen so that you will not have a hard time doing your research chapter 3. Okay, so let's start now. Let's start the discussion by um, knowing the title of the chapter. First, chapter 3 is for the methods or methodology. Now, let me ask the class, how would you define a method? Just like when we order something online, just like Shopee, I am sure a lot of you here have tried buying online, specifically using Shopee app, diba? When we order something online, we are presented with a lot of options on how we can get the item. Can you give me what are the options that we can use or the payment methods that we can use in order for us to buy the item? Can you give me one option? Yes, the COD or the cash on delivery na. I'm sure si Miles dagan kaya siya order sa Shopee. Diba? Abanger siguro si Miles sa 10-10, 11-11, 12-12. Diba? Yes, cash on delivery. What else? We also have that katong payment at the counter or payment bank to bank or online payment and so on and so forth. So the aim of ordering an item online is for us to get that item, diba? And we are offered with a lot of methods. Same goes also with the research. When we do research, we have our aims, we have our objectives, we have our questions. And our goal is to arrive at the right answers of these questions. Just like ordering something online, we have a lot of options. We have a lot of like couriers, diba? Like you can choose JNT, you can pick up JRS and so on and so forth. Same also with research. The kay tools that we can use in order for us to get the correct answers. So for this afternoon, we will be learning um, the research methodologies. So when we talk about research method, there are only two kinds. Again, when we talked about research methodologies, there are only two kinds, quantitative and qualitative. Now, if people will ask you, what is your research all about? Most likely, you will say, our research is a quantitative research or our research is a qualitative research. Now, let's learn what are the definitions of these two or what makes the two different. Now, let's begin with the quantitative. So, quantitative, its root word is quantity. Am I correct? Quantity ba? Quantitative focuses on numbers. Okay, quantity man. So a quantitative approach is one in which the investigator primarily uses claims for developing knowledge. An explanation or to understand it further. Um, it talks about the cause and effect thinking, reduction to specific variables, hypothesis, questions, use of measurement, observation, and the test of theories. Quantitative research can be done through the following. Survey methods. Diba? When we do survey, how do we collect the data? We collect the data in form of survey, and most likely ang data the data is formed through numbers or numerical ang data. Next, experiments or any form of numerical data. So always put in your mind, when we say quantitative, it refers to numerical data. Are we clear with that? Claro? Hello, I should hear your answers. So I will know I have my students behind. Okay, thank you so much for answering, Miles. Next, let's go to the second one. Qualitative, this is the opposite of quantitative. Because again, quantitative focuses on numbers or it deals with numbers. This one, the qualitative research, doesn't deal with numbers because this deals with words. Okay, kay quality man siya. If you will be asked, can you talk about the quality of this, that? Most likely you will be giving descriptions, meanings, definitions, and so on and so forth. So you are using words. Okay? So qualitative researchers study things in their natural settings. So how do we what do we mean when we say natural setting? In doing a research, we can have it done in a laboratory or in a natural setting. What is natural setting again, teacher Leah? That was not answered back. So natural setting is like if you are going to study a particular group according to how they behave, how they do their like practices, their costumes, and so on and so forth. If we say we need to study them in their natural setting, you have to go in their place. You have to observe them like how they do their lives naturally. So you cannot just bring a tauso, you cannot bring a bisaya in the laboratory and study him. Study her on how he or she behaves or how he or she practices their practice. Because if you say natural setting, um, the object or the subject of your research must be studied in their natural setting. Okay? So it attempts to make sense of or interpret phenomenon in terms of the meanings people bring to them. Take note, the very goal of a qualitative research is to interpret events, interpret happenings, and interpret the meanings people bring to them. A qualitative research approach is one in which the inquirer often makes knowledge claims based on primarily on constructive perspectives. So the multiple meanings of individual experiences, meaning socially and historically constructed with an intent of developing a theory or pattern, or advocacy or participatory perspectives, political, issue-oriented, collaborative, or change-oriented, or both. All of these are the goals of a qualitative research, to come up with a common ground in defining or in giving meanings to our study. So qualitative research comes in different forms or in different types. We have here the following. All of these belong to the umbrella of qualitative research. Kumbaga, qualitative research, it's like an umbrella. And under this research, dagan siya types. We have ethnography, we have case study, we have grounded theory, participatory, action research, phenomenology, and etc. So phenomenology, very familiar, right? Because if you may have observed your research title or if you are aware of your research title, what can you observe? Most of your research titles or all of your research titles have this word phenomenology. So phenomenology is part of qualitative research. So let me ask you, what is your research? Your research is a qualitative one. Okay? Specifically, phenomenology. Now let's learn what are these types of qualitative research. The first one is ethnography. From the word ethnicity, ethnography is a description and interpretation of a cultural or social group or system. In short, this kind of qualitative research studies culture. It studies social group or system. So the research examines the group's observable and learned patterns of behavior, costumes, and ways of life. Again, what is this study all about? It studies. Let's ask Jade Ariola. What is this study all about, Jade? Hello, is Jade listening? Wala nag-listen si Jade. So let's ask Sophia. Sophia, what is this study all about? Ethnography. Studies what?
It studies observable and learned patterns of behavior, customs, and ways of life.
Yes, exactly. So if you say ethnography or ethnicity, it studies um, social culture, costume, diba? So I hope we're clear with that. Now let's move on to the second one, which is case study. So among the qualitative researches I have presented, case study is the most common one, and this is considered as something very detailed or something really bounded by its system. Because over time, through detail, take note that detailed and case study. It requires or it must have an in-depth data collection involving multiple sources of information and context. So this bounded system is bounded by time. So when you do this research, you have to be very, um, what do we call this? You have to be very sure. Um, you have to make sure the time wherein you will be conducting this one, dapat sakto yun siya. And this bounded study is again bounded by time and place when and where are you going to conduct this one. It is the case-based study. So it can be a program, an event, an activity, or individual. Okay. Next, let's move on to the third one, which is phenomenology. So this is your research. Okay, a phenomenological study on a lot of concerns or phenomenons that you will be um, studying, depending lang sa group. So phenomenology is a qualitative research because it aims to describe, it aims to give definition on how human beings experience a certain phenomenon. So can you give me sample phenomenons or events? Diba? Do not confuse yourselves. If we say phenomenon, it refers to events, it refers to occurrences, it refers to something that is proved to happen or something that is experienced by people. So can you give me sample phenomenons? Let's ask Pauline. Gav, can you give your samples here in public chat? Let me see if you are listening. Can you give me one? I will give you one. We have rainstorm. That's observed to happen. That is an occurrence. Yes, flood. Very good. Very timely, di ba? Here in our city, we have just experienced that one during Typhoon Odette. Odette. I'm not sure. Yes, what else? Rainstorm, flood, tsunami, but these are considered as phenomenon. Or yes, drought, tsunami, flood, rainstorm. What else? All of these, di ba? These are examples of phenomenon. If you are going to have a phenomenological study, let's say your topic is flood, and you would like to conduct a study, you would like to know how human beings experience flood. You would like to come up with um, the correct definition, the correct or a definite data on how exactly people have experienced this one, then you are doing the right research, which is phenomenological. Now let's have let's read more information or explanation on what exactly is phenomenology. Now I will be giving focus on this because our research is phenomenal. It attempts to set aside biases and preconceived assumptions about human experiences, feelings, and responses to a particular situation. So it allows the researcher to delve into the perceptions, the views, the perspectives, understandings, and feelings of those people who have actually experienced or lived the phenomenon or situation of interest. So if you want to study about flood, but if you want to know about their feelings, their understandings, their perspectives, their views about flood, then you need to do a research, a phenomenological research, specifically on flood. So now let's discuss about the research methods. Now finally we're now here since we have learned already what are the different kinds of qualitative research and what is quantitative research. Now let's learn what are the methods or how can we execute for these researches. So we have here interviews. Diba? Through these methods, we can collect data. We can gather perceptions, ideas, feelings, understandings of the people. Of course, number one is interview. We will ask them. Second, we can also have focus groups. Like we will be choosing certain groups lang for our research focus. And then we can also have participants observation. So we can observe the people. Diba? If you will not be choosing interview, okay ka sa observation, you can observe the people whom you would like to study. Next, we can also use video, right? We can have some footage on how they really practice this kind of uh, life way, or we can um, have some video or some improvements, kumbaga, or if you want to have a case study, we can also use video. Next, we can also have text and image analysis, like for example, for documents and media data. Now, here are the useful methods that we can use. First, participant observation. So what is this participant observation? We can gain insight into understanding cultural patterns to determine what's necessary and needed in tool development, complementary to interviews. So after DOCA, you can use interview in gathering the perceptions, the ideas, and understandings of your respondents. But we can also get more effective or mas how do we call this? Mas satisfying kumbaga ang answers or ang data that you will be collecting from them if you will have this kind of method katong participant observation as a complementary para mas na-complete yun mo to make sure that ilang answers is somehow ka-jive sa ilahang actions. So we can also observe them and how they practice this kind of thing or this or on how they react on this kind of event or phenomenon. Now we can also have interviews and focus groups with stakeholders. So it helps us to explore how tools are used and could be used in a novice programming course. So it helps us also to gain insight into the meaning of tools for students for learning the program. Next, data analysis. So themes arising from data would provide insight into current learning to program issues and see what's important to students, teachers, and administrators. So the data analysis can only be done once we have already the data. We will have the data once we will have already the tool. We cannot have the data unless we will not do anything. Like we will not choose any method, any tool for us to gather the data. So after you have already the answers, you have already uh, the responses of the respondents, that's considered as the information or the data. So once you have the data, you can start analyzing. After analyzing, you can come up with a conclusion on how you can help the community, how you can help the people involved in the research, and of course the beneficiaries. Next, survey. We can also use survey, which is very useful for verifying results in a larger scale, and also user testing, useful for triangulating results. Now let's learn what are the characteristics of qualitative research. So we have learned already nga, according to Teacher Leah, if we say qualitative research, it deals with words. Yes, that's correct. But more with that, let's learn what exactly are the characteristics of qualitative research. Qualitative research studies its concern in its natural setting. So if you want to study nganong ang mga badyaw kay they nganong ang mga badyaw kay they celebrate this way? Why are they dancing that way? Why are they reacting this way? And why do they have this kind of belief? So if you want to give an interpretation to that, why are they acting this way whenever naiinaning na event? So you want to give meaning, you want to interpret that one, or you want to define that kind of action. So you need to study them in their natural setting. You have to go there, you have to observe it yourself, and so on and so forth. Basta making sure that nothing is fake. Everything must be studied in their natural setting. Next, researcher as key instrument, of course, multiple sources of data. Since we are going to gather perceptions, we are going to gather understandings, definitions, meanings from different individuals. Of course, we need to get multiple sources. So dili lang enough na we will only be studying 3 people And you will ask them, how would you define or how would you um, react to this kind of event? Diba? Three people for you to get their explanations, their definitions, that's not enough. So the more resources that we have, the more chances of winning, kumbaga, the more chances of winning the correct answer or the definite definition for that phenomenon. Next, inductive and deductive data analysis. So in doing qualitative research, we analyze starting from the most detailed information up to the bigger picture. And also, that's not it lang tayo. We have again to um, reciprocate that po tayo. We have then to analyze the bigger picture down to the most detailed picture. That's how we analyze a qualitative research. In short, we have to analyze it very thoroughly. And then lastly, participants meaning. Of course, the goal of a qualitative research is to make meaning to our research. Okay, now lastly, this is the last part. So for research tools, I think that was mentioned already a while ago, katong interviews. So here are the tools that we can use in conducting a qualitative research. Since we are looking for words, di ba? We are collecting for um, respondents' answers, and we will be dealing with words. We will be having the questions. We can use checklists, we can use questionnaires, observation sheets. Yeah, these are the tools that we can use in conducting a qualitative research. That's choice of methodology and methods. So how do we choose the right tool, the right method in doing our research? We need to go through again on the questions of our research. Where can we find the questions of our research? As in a chapter, where can we find our questions that we would like to answer in our research? In what chapter specifically, Isa? Isa? Ira, do you have any idea? Where can we find the questions of our research? In what chapter?
One.
Chapter 1, specifically named or titled as Definition of Terms. Which part of the research is that? Definition of terms? Introduction?
Two-dimensional research problem.
Statement of the problem. So when we do or when we choose the right method, we need to go back again to our question. Asa man dili nga tool ang pinakasutad sa akong research? So if you want to know about people's reaction or how, if you want to get the definitions of people regarding this phenomenon, do you think interview is suited? It can be, right? So that's how you choose your method. You go back again to your goals. Same goals. Will your will your will your method help you arrive at that goal? So you have to rethink. You have to review it again. You need to go back again to your values as researchers, to your skills, and of course the time and the funds available. So now here are the contents or on the parts of your research chapter 3. So the first paragraph is for the research design. I hope you have checked that sample research written by the grade 9 students last year. So you can check their paper and see how they narrated their methods. So the first paragraph is for the research design. The second one is for the respondents. The third one is for the research setting. Say respondents, kinsay mga participants who will answer, who will be studied, and who will participate in this study. So respondents. So let's say the grade 9 students, the grade 7. Next, the research setting. Where and when are we gonna conduct the study? Asan mo siya i-conduct? Corpus Christi School, specifically what campus? Let's say Pueblo, Makasandig. At what time? During English class or during homeroom session? You need to be very clear or detailed with your research setting. As well as for the data gathering. How will you gather the data? Will you be using um, any educational platform that you can use? You need also to consider the setting. situation that we are in right now. Specifically, we are in a pandemic, so logically, you cannot conduct it face to face, right? So dapat i-explain mo there sa data gathering that you will be collecting data through Zoom interview, so on and so forth. You need to explain yapon what is Zoom so that those people, those readers who may not have any idea about your um about that platform or tool that you will be using online, they will get or they will have an idea on how you will gather the data. Okay? I think that's the last one. And the last one is for the research instruments. So once you will check, once you will check those research samples I sent, you will understand fully how to write your research chapter. So these are the major components of your research chapter T: research design, respondents, research setting, data gathering, and then research instruments. Any questions or clarifications from the class? Questions or clarifications? Hello?
None so far, sure.
Time check, it's already 1:58 p.m. So we don't have any quiz for this lesson because we will have our long test next meeting, right? So we will have it on, I'm not sure, Monday. Are we going to meet tomorrow? If yes, we will have our long test tomorrow. If not, we will have it on our next meeting. Okay. So for the rest of the time, for the remaining time, I want you to check that research sample I sent to our group chat, the one written by Bagol, the one written by Olarte. I'm not sure. The one written by Victorio, Olarte, and I think it was Radaza. So you may check their work and then um, follow the pattern kung giunsa nila og na-rate ilang research. Okay? So, um, be sure to start communicating with your research team now. You have until the end of the period discuss your uh, to discuss your chapter 3 assignments to them. Thank you. Hello, class. Time check. It's already 2:14 p.m. I will now be dismissing the class. Goodbye and thank you, everyone. Goodbye, class.
Goodbye, Chair. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye.